Hello and welcome back to Survivor Talks with Mike. Today we'll be covering Survivor 42, Episode 5. We hop into the episode with the Ika tribe, so I'll just start with them. They explain to Roxroy why they voted out Swati in the last episode. This tells me that Roxroy was out of the loop. I didn't think he was in the last one and thought that he was just throwing another vote on Tori just in case. But now it shows that he wasn't playing too well socially and he has to improve his social game. But they all talk about how they want to stay together strong for the merge. But we get a confessional from Tori where she says that she doesn't want to stick with the Ika tribe. We see how close Romeo and Drea have gotten. Drea reminds Romeo of the beauty pageant contestants that he works with back at home. This gives us a chance to see some of Romeo's background, working in pageants, and that really endeared him to wanting to work with Drea. They go out searching for the idol, and Drea finds it. So she has to say her activation phrase at the next challenge. Drea is feeling survivor rich with all of her advantages. She says her phrase at the challenge to activate it, and now she has an idol, an extra vote, and her amulet. The Ika tribe wins the immunity, and they get a tarp along with it. They send Roxroy and Lydia to Shipwheel Island, but nothing really happens there. It ends up being a big waste of time. They don't really connect on anything. They don't try to get anything going on in the merge, and both of them end up protecting their votes, so it doesn't really add anything. Roxroy reads the rules out to us again, even though we've seen it so many times now. It, in all cases, just wastes a lot of time in the episode, I felt. That's all we get from the Ika tribe, so moving on to the Taku tribe. Jonathan is sick of the women, feels that they are talking way too much, so he goes swimming to get away from them for a bit. He tells us that that's a nice way for him to relax and get his mind refocused. But it also means that he's missing out on the social part of the game by going off on his own for so long. Marianne and Jonathan seem to be clashing a lot, just bickering over every little thing that happens. And this is causing Marianne to become paranoid. She's thinking that anytime Jonathan goes off, he's scheming with the others to get her out. Omer wants them to just stick together strong for when they get to the merge. But we'll see if that works out for them with all this bickering going on. Marianne says her phrase again at the challenge, and it finally gets activated since Drea has the Ika tribe one, and Mike decides that he will say his. Jonathan is frustrated with his tribe's performance during the challenge. He feels they're way behind, and you can see him just like going off, getting angry. But they still end up coming in second, so they are safe. Jonathan is the one who gets the win for them on the slingshot portion, and they really edit it to make it look like he was the hero getting it. But if you look in the background, you can see he took quite a few shots to actually hit the target, but they only showed us the two that he hit. Now going on to the Vati tribe, they were all hoping for the merge to happen. They were really excited for the feast. They said that they would even take rice at this point. Hai and Lydia feel that they don't trust Daniel or Chanel, but feel that they could at least read Daniel a little bit better. Daniel decides to go fishing because they're not doing well on the survival portion, but everyone else notices that he's completely fine swimming, even though he's been sitting out in all of the challenges because of his shoulder. I don't think it really equates to the same thing. Fishing, you're going at a more relaxed pace, and you can always take a break whenever you need to, whereas in the challenge, it's a lot more rushed and high pressure. But the perception is that he should be fine to be in challenges, whether he is or not. Mike says that he still doesn't want to activate his idol so that nobody knows that he has one when they get into the merge. However, at the challenge, he does end up saying it because he felt that he might end up needing his vote, which he did end up needing it because Vati loses the immunity challenge. And so Lydia is chosen to go to the Shipwheel Island. As we said, we don't really get a whole lot going on there. It's a big waste of time, but we do get to see a little bit more of her background, which is nice because we haven't really gotten much from Lydia yet. Back at the camp, Daniel and Chanel want to talk to everyone individually. So they go off and talk to each of them, and all the talk is between Daniel and Chanel for who they're going to vote. At Tribal Council, there's a lot of talk about them being friends and they don't take the game personally, but it's a lot of emotional manipulation, as Chanel points out, as they might actually be friends, but when they're talking about it there, it's trying to endear them to the other tribe members. For the votes, when they go to vote, Mike and Daniel both vote for Chanel. Hai and Lydia vote for Daniel, and Chanel votes for Mike, which confused me a little bit at first because we didn't see any reason why she was going to vote for Mike. But I've thought of a few different scenarios where she might have. First, and the most likely one would be that Chanel thought that Daniel might use his shot in the dark, so in case he ended up being safe, then there's a tie between her and Mike instead of her just being voted out, which would have been smart on her part, but it didn't matter as Daniel did get voted out on the revote. Or it might have been Hai and Lydia telling Chanel to vote for Mike to try to get him out with his idol, and that way it'll cause a rift between the two of them and they won't be able to trust each other. Or it could have been in order to create trust between them. Maybe Hai and Lydia asked Chanel to put a vote on Mike, and then they would know that they could trust her. I think that's probably the least likely, but it could be any of those possibilities. So my thoughts on Daniel after he got voted out. He was neurotic and sloppy, but that made him fun to watch. His messy play made for a couple of wild situations, especially that one tribal council where Jenny was voted out. I don't know that he will be brought back in the future, but he was good for the brief time we did get him in this season and as the final pre-merge boot. My review for this episode is this was for the most part, good episode. The one thing that hurt it was the time spent on Shipwheel Island being an entire waste and taking away from a lot of what could have been the social part of the game, such as getting a reasoning for why Chanel voted for Mike. Otherwise, this episode was all pretty good. We got a bit from everyone, and it was back to being a much more balanced episode. It also sets things up pretty well for the merge. So I give episode 5 a score of 7 out of 10. Now for my predictions going forward. This will be the first time a 3-tribe season has ever gone into the merge with even numbers across the board, with each tribe being left with 4 members. With a lot of twists returning from last season, I don't know if they'll be doing the same hourglass twist again. I would have to think that if they do the same thing, whichever tribe has or team that they get split into has Jonathan will likely win, but that doesn't mean that they are safe. And if it's exactly the same, I imagine Jonathan will end up becoming a target. If that's the case, Marianne could play her idol for him, but the tension shown in this episode might have been reasoning for why she wouldn't play it for him. As for a winner, I still don't think it will be anyone from Ika, but I do think each of the other tribes look like they have strong contenders, except for maybe Lydia and Marianne. My favorite to win, I will still say, is Omer, but I think Lindsay, Mike, and Hai are all still looking good. That's all I've got for this episode. If you liked it, please hit like, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching.